Hey guys, JCcalonge here from ShaolinProductionz, and I'm just here bringing you a deck profile of my favorite deck, the Gold Paladins. It's the Ezel build, because he's my favorite unit in the whole game, and he's always been since the first time I saw him in the anime, because he was just so cool. He just came out and he was just like such a boss. But yeah, a lot of guys have been asking me if I'm going to switch to Liberators when they come out, because they know Gold Paladins are my favorite clan, and the answer is no. Like I mentioned, Ezel's my favorite unit in the whole game, and you can't ditch your favorite unit. Come on, no matter what, he's always been there for me, and he's never let me down. And this is just gonna be a little like quick glance. I like to do these before getting to the actual deck profile. So this is just a quick glance. Pretty much it's Criff, 6 crit, 4 draw, 4 heal, 2 stand, 4 Gareth, 3 Halo Shield Mark, 3 Disciple of Pain, 2 Dendrone, 1 Nimue, 1 Tron, 1 Silver Fang Witch, 4 Bowmains, 1 Bagdemaeus, 1 Blaster Blade Spirit, 1 Blaster Dark Spirit, 1 Vivian, 1 Laudine, 1 Trip, 1 Loppier Shooter, 1 Platinum Ezel, 1 Ezel, 1 Garmor, 1 Photon Archer, 1 Holy Mage, 1 Gigantech Destroyer, and 1 Sagramore. So pretty much to sum it up, this deck has been really good to me. I guess we have like a special bond because these guys, I've beaten a lot of, meta decks, like including the Blood, Majesty Lord, I've beaten the End, like the meta full built decks. They've been so good to me. People are just gonna say because Gold Paladins are gonna be Gold Paladins, but if you notice, I have a lot of 1-ofs, and those 1-ofs always come when I need. I'm not sure, like I said, it's like me and these guys have a special bond or something, because my friends always wonder how my deck is more consistent than theirs when they have like 3 or 4 copies of stuff. But yeah, so let's go over the logic behind the deck, because I've tested the deck out and it's worked out wonderful for me. I mean, some cards do conflict at certain times, but most of the time I want to say like 95% of the time the deck goes really smoothly. So yeah, just give me a second to set up. Alright guys, so I'm back, and let's get into the logic behind the deck, because I know a lot of you are going to be questioning my logic behind it, because you're going to be like, John, you have too many 1-ofs, the deck's not going to work like that. But if you guys verse me, you guys will notice that I'll prove you wrong. I mean, it's not that I stack or anything, because my friends cut my deck all the time, and anyone's free to cut my deck whenever they feel like it. And it always works. Like at tournaments, I always got my deck cut, and I've gone undefeated quite a bit. And like I mentioned before, I versed meta decks such as the End, the Blood, Majesty Lord. I know that the deck has a lot of bad matchups against mainly Nova Grapplers, and what was that deck called? The football team? With Juggernaut Maximum?
Spike Brothers?
Spike Brothers. Those are my worst matchups. Mainly I see because I don't have that much, like I have defense but not enough to like block all those attacks or just get attacked so hard at the beginning. But let's just go into the deck and we'll talk about that after. So for my starter, I have Crimson Lion Cub Criff. Criff's awesome. His story, because I pick my units really based on the story and how cool they are, and I really like how he admires Ezel, and he's really cool, and to boost, he has an awesome effect. He gets me Ezel, so writing your favorite card all the time, I think is just awesome. So we have the Dream Team for him, because he needs Gareth and he needs Bowmains. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So yeah, for those who don't know, when another Gold Paladin rides Criff, he moves to any rear guard circle, so you usually put him on the back. And then you need Bowmains as your Vanguard, which is the 10k vanilla of the deck, and you need Gareth, which is the 8k vanilla booster, and then you can superior ride into Ezel. So you get an early grade 3. You kind of do go minus, but I kind of like, like I said, the deck works so much better when I have Ezel as my Vanguard. It's pretty much, if I have it, my deck just obliterates. A lot of people don't like Criff, but he's always worked out for me. So then next up, we have the critical triggers. Let's see, we have 6 crit, Alright, so as you notice, I have different critical triggers. Main reason why, a lot of people, when they think Gold Paladins, they think high crit. They either think 12 crit or 8 crit. So for this one, I have the trigger variety not only because I like to use different cards, but also to mess around with your opponent, because the more trigger variety they see, the less they know what to expect. Because if you see Silent Punisher and Dontigal, they're like, oh man, he has 8 crit. But then you see Flame of Victory, they don't know the number of crit you have, so they have to guard differently. You understand? Because if they think you have, like, let's say more stand than crit, they're going to more no guard your Vanguard because they're not scared of the critical. So I have one Silent Punisher because I like his phrase, and you don't know how many times I've won with him. It's just being the last critical, and like his phrase is just so awesome. It's like, looks like I've won. So yeah, he's awesome at 1. That's my personal choice. Like, I have Bringer of Good Luck Epona at 1 for Royal Paladins, and it's always awesome to get Epona as the last crit because it's just like, oh, Bringer of Good Luck. But next up, getting back to the deck profile, is Dontigal. Dontigal is an awesome card. You know, crit triggers are always good to have. And then next up we have Flame of Victory. We have 3 Flame of Victory. Main reason I don't run 4 is because when I do call the Silent Punisher, they are good 5k boosters, and as you'll notice later on in the grade 3s, the 5k booster is really awesome in the deck. The 4k booster kind of hurts it a bit, so I know he has a awesome effect, and when I call him instead of, you know, maybe Silent Punisher or Dontical, he's helped me out a lot with the 3k boost. I just put him somewhere else, like maybe behind Bowmains and Gareth in another column, make it a 21k column, and then call another booster. That always works out too. He's also helped me to you know, go for game, but I usually don't use his effect from the hand. I usually when he's superior called. So it's pretty much the crits. You know, crits are going to be crits. And then next up we have 4 heal. Pretty self-explanatory. Heal triggers are really good. I know I've heard some people talk about not running heals in the deck, but I just don't see it, because they're like, I could run more crits, because they don't see heals as active. But you don't know how many times I gotten saved by a 6th damage heal trigger. Like in last tournament, I actually healed 3 times in 6th heal, and it was awesome. You know, heal triggers always come through to me. I think my heal triggers, personally in my deck, they usually fail me maybe, I want to say 15 to 20% of the time, which is really good, because getting an 80-85% heal trigger, hey, that's awesome. 1 point of damage is always good to take away. Oh, and they make a great combination with Disciple of Pain, which is in grade 1, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then we have the draw triggers. Again, the trigger variety is my personal choice, because like I said, a lot of people don't know what kind of triggers you run, and the triggers in the deck really matter. Draw triggers, they're always awesome. They're always active with a check. A lot of people don't like draw triggers in Gold Paladins because they're like already having enough free cards, but draw triggers have always been good to me. I always draw what I need. Like if I need a Bowmains, you know how many times I draw Bowmains or a Gareth just to get the combo off, and they're always awesome. I run 1 Gwydion, 1 Speeder Hound, and 2 Azure Knights. Again, the Azure Knight mainly because when you superior call, you get the free 2k boost. But I usually don't like calling him from the hand to boost. I usually call Speeder Hound or Gwydion because, you know, the 5k. The 1000, most of the time it does matter, but sometimes it doesn't. It depends what kind of deck you're versing, also what kind of like Vanguard power they're gonna have. Like if you have Narukami, they're mainly 11s to 14s, and the 4k boost kind of hurts. But mainly that, there's not a lot of you know, logic behind the draw triggers. That's my personal preference. Like I said, I want to get as many superior call effects as possible, with also having the trigger variety, but since I'm limited by 16 triggers because it's the rule, that's as many as I can run. But then next up we have something I haven't seen yet. It's stand triggers and Gold Paladins. I know a lot of you must be freaking out, but actually the stand triggers have won me games so many times, because since we're used to everyone always running 4 to 3 perfect guards. When you get a late game stand, it's really devastating. Or like an early game stand when you have a lot of attacking units, because you don't know how many times I've had 3 attacking units and it's like attack, they don't block it, attack with the Vanguard, they don't block it, and it's a stand trigger, stand, attack, they'll block this one and take this one, so they're already at 3 damage on the grade 1 ride. Yeah, their hero triggers will be really active, but the stands late game against perfect cards are awesome, and no one ever expects them in Gold Paladins. Like I mentioned, they're always thinking crit, 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 but then when they see the stand, it just messes with their mind so much. And the stand triggers are awesome. Their art is amazing, and like I mentioned, they're just too great to pass up in Gold Paladins. At 2 is a perfect number for me. Then next up we have grade 1. We have Gareth. Gareth is awesome. I know some decks don't need AK boosters, like some people believe, because I know a lot of people that say, oh, you need for vanillas, you know, the 10k and the AK, and that's not always correct. I know like Dark Regulars, their space is really tight, and they have so many good grade 1 boosters that they couldn't pass up, like Alluring Succubus, and then you have Courting. You know, it's just so tight in the grade 1 space. But in Gold Paladins, I like Gareth. He's awesome. I would run him at 4, even if Criff's Effect didn't need him. But yeah, having it at 4 makes Criff's Effect more viable. But the way I like to run it, this is just my personal preference, is to have, you know, 3 of the trial deck Gareth, and then I have 1 out of the pack. Alright, you guys can tell with the little C right here, his phrase is different. But yeah, that's my personal preference, because when you get, because I have 1 shiny Bowmains, so when you get the dream team of shiny Bowmains and common Gareth, it's just so awesome. But yeah, he works great. He can boost anybody pretty much, and you'll be able to hit anything. I had plenty of times when I versed Vermilion and I just call it like Falcon Knight and I have a Gareth behind him, you know, 12k, enough to hit. Even if it's just 5k guard, that 5k guard will be really useful later on. So great booster, and he also hits 20 with some of my support, and he also can hit 21 with Sagarmor, as you saw in the quick glance. So yeah, he's a great booster and great for the deck. Next up, I have 3 perfect guard. In most decks that I run, I have 3 perfect guard. I think 4 is just a little too much, you know, because you lose a booster. Boosters are so important to the game. You don't know how many times I've seen meta decks, just because they have 4 perfect guards, they think they're safe, but they will have no boosters. And 3 perfect guards is really good in the deck, because most of the time you have a 10k vanilla, because I have only 1 Platinum Ezel, so most of the time I'm not cross-ridden. I do cross-ride, but like I said, the 1-off and Platinum Ezel isn't really searchable, so you just depend on the draw. So it's pretty much luck of the draw. I think I get him maybe 50 to 60% of the time, so it's not always, but he's always not cross-ridden all the time, always. He's mainly, I want to say he's cross-ridden maybe 30 to 40% of the time. It's not a great percentage, so the 10k is really difficult to guard. I mean, I've gotten used to guarding for 10k because of Ezel, because I hate getting abused because it's 10k, because there's so many 20k columns, it's not even funny. But yeah, my guarding has improved a lot, and I don't just throw perfect guards whenever, like a lot of people do. I've seen a lot of people just throw down perfect guards whenever, and it's just so bad. But yeah, 4 is excessive, 3 is the perfect number. If you notice, I have 2 non-sentinel and 1 sentinel mark. That's my personal preference, because I like to have variety. Next up, we have one of the really good supports for Gold Paladins. I've always used Disciple of Pain. Disciple of Pain's effect, if you guys aren't sure, it's one of those self-damagers. So when you place it, either in Vanguard or Rearguard, usually you use it on Rearguard, because on the grade 1 ride you shouldn't have damage. So unless you were grade stuck. But you counterblast 1, and then you take the top card of your deck and you put it on your damage zone, and then at the end phase you just put it back. That's what I was talking about with the heal triggers. You know how many times I've healed, let's say I'm at 1 damage and my opponent's at 1 damage, you counterblast 1, you're at 2, and then you heal 1, and then you put the other one back and you go back to 0. Hey, that's always good. That's a free heal pretty much. And I've also stopped my opponent from healing, so damage control I've always found to be really useful, because that 1 point of damage can actually make you lose the game. I had plenty of times where my opponent couldn't heal just because, you know, they weren't even or had more, and hey, it was awesome because they're like, damn, I couldn't do that. And I also like Disciple of Pain because I always did have the one-ofs. Like Ezel, if he would go into damage zone, I would put him back into deck, or if I needed Garmor, or if I needed a Dindrene or a Lapierre shooter, you know, Disciple of Pain always gets my back, and I can put anything I want. She can also put back triggers. Usually I like to put heals or crits, depending on the situation, because if it's late game, you kind of want to heal and draw more than a critical, in my opinion, because you just want the more defense, more potential to draw the perfect guard, more potential to draw, you know, more shield. So, but yeah, most of the time it is a heal trigger. If it's not too late game, maybe like middle game, I'll put in critical. Well, but it depends, you know, everything depends on the certain situations. You can't explain everything. Next up, I have 2 Dindrene. Dindrene is awesome because you do Superior Call, and she's awesome when I mainly get her out with Garmor, because Garmor can just fetch me any Gold Paladin I really need at this situation. But yeah, 2 Dindrene is fine. The 6k boost kind of hurts sometimes, so I have a lot of 6k boosters, and she is great behind the 12k attackers, but you know, because it hits 18k, but you want to hit as high as possible. So her effect's amazing. For those who don't know the effect, it's when she's Superior Called from the deck, you Soul Blast 1, and then you draw a card. So a free card, not bad. But otherwise, she's just a 6k vanilla. You just call her from the hand. No complaints. She has to be balanced, of course. Vanguard's all about balance. And next up, we have my one-ofs of my grade 1s. I have 1 Nimue. She's an awesome card. A lot of times I have her in front of a Gareth. For her effect, she has to hit a Vanguard, but she also has to be boosted. So she has to be a boosted on hit effect. So you counterblast 1 and you Superior Call top card. It's not always bad. Sometimes you get a free attack on the grade 1 ride. You can get a 3rd attacker, or maybe a booster for your Vanguard. I really like her effect. She's really awesome. 1 counterblast, not a big cost to pay. Then next up we have Tron. Tron hits hard at the beginning because you can just dish out like an 18k or like a 20k attack. Late game, usually your opponent's field is already full, but maybe you attacked or they've intercepted before you attack with your Vanguard, and you just hit for an insane amount because, as you guys know, Ezel hits really hard with his effects. So great 10k booster. I used to run 2, but I went down to 1 because I just added more Disciple of Pains. Because before I used to run 2 Disciple of Pain, 2 Tron. I used to run a lot of 2-ofs for my grade 1s, but now that I got it more like finished, because the deck is pretty much done. I don't think I'm going to change it from now on. I like how it's running so far. But yeah, awesome 10k booster. Saved me so many times, because sometimes you get great stuck, and then having a strong Vanguard attack helps a lot. And then I have 1 Silver Fang, which, 1, because I don't like the 5k boost. I mean, if I'm versing a 10k Vanguard, then awesome. But otherwise, since we're in a 11k to 13k Vanguard kind of phase, she's not the best booster, mainly because all my units are 10ks. So, I mean, she's awesome behind a 12k Tiger. And her effect's really good when you call her anytime, whether it be from the deck or whether it be from your hand. You just Soul Blast 2 and then you draw a card. I also only run 1 because I don't have that much soul. It's mainly because you don't want to get rid of Ezel, and Criff already moves back, so you only have the grade 1 and the grade 2. I mean, if you use Criff's effect, you have plenty of soul to use too. But I like the 1, like I mentioned, 5k booster, not too great. But yeah, those are the grade 1s. I think it's pretty solid grade 1 lineup. Oh, I did forget to mention, I do run these instead of Loonbow, the new stand, mainly because I don't like that random fact. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's great, but Loonbow, it's just like, would I rather have a 10k shield in my hand or potentially call something I need at the situation? So it's more, I'd rather have the shield than the random call. And I don't know, it seems iffy to me. Maybe I would have to test it. But I like these stands as is, because once I do get the stand trigger through a drive check, I usually just keep them in my hand. I don't think I've ever called the stand to boost for like to end in game. But yeah, next up we have the grade 2 lineup. We have 4 Bowmains. Same thing as Gareth. Bowmains is just awesome. He supports Ezel a lot. And you have, well, I run it like this. You don't have to, of course. I think it's just more awesome when you get Curse Effect. I have 3 of the trial deck Bowmains, and then I have 1 shiny Bowmains. So whenever I call Bowmains, I would even say, ride shiny Bowmains, or call shiny Bowmains. Or even when I intercept with him, like, shiny intercept. And it always like makes my friends or my opponent laugh. Because, you know, you have to have fun while you play. And so yeah, he's awesome. He's an awesome card. His art's amazing. Why not have 4? Like I mentioned, not every deck needs 4. But I think I would run him at 4, even if Croft didn't need Bowmains for his effect to go off. Next up, we have the legendary heroes. I have 1 Blaster Blade Spirit and 1 Blaster Dark Spirit. I wasn't gonna run the Blaster Dark Spirit originally, but then I don't know what happened, and I was like, I decided to put them in. And both of them are SP. So I have 1 SP Blaster Blade Spirit and 1 SP Blaster Dark. They don't have to be SP, of course. I just like to get my main guys SP, or like, because I really do like Blaster Blade, and he's awesome. And whenever I do get him, in my mind, I thank you. You know, I thank him because he's an awesome card, and he's helped me out a lot recently. I've gotten rid of a lot of problematic cards with both Blaster Dark and Blaster Blade, because those 12k attackers do hurt, because a lot of people, like I mentioned, they do run the 8k boosters, and they do run a lot of 12k attackers, like Narukami's. Pretty much the meta decks, they have a lot of 12k attackers, and they have a lot of 20k columns, and they just hurt so much. So these guys are awesome, just to get rid of those. Next up, we have 1 Bagdamus. I only have 1 because I don't have too many Ezel targets. I only have 1 regular Ezel, 1 Platinum Ezel. He was an awesome card. I really like him, and I try to protect him as much as possible. But sometimes I don't have enough hands to protect him. But overall, he's an awesome card, 12k attacker. He can be boosted by anyone pretty much, and he can hit for a 10k shield. Except for well, no, Cross Rides too. He just needs a Dendronite, can't be boosted by anything. At least a 6k boost. So next up, we have the ladies of the deck. Then we have Laudine. Laudine is my personal tech. I know a lot of people don't run her, but she's really cool. I really liked her artwork the first time I saw her in the card shop. I was like, wow, her art's amazing, and I just had to run her at 1. At 1, she doesn't hurt, and you know, Vanguard's all about variety. I like that about the game. You can run cards that you want and not get, you know, penalized for it. So Laudine's awesome. Her effect is when she's called, you get a plus 2k to anything. That 2k, it might not sound like a lot, but it saved me so many times. I've gone for game a lot, and I usually put her in front of a Gareth, so she hits for 16, so it hits most attacks for a 10k shield. If I am versing a Crossride, I usually just boost the Gareth behind her, make it an 18k attack. I know the attack is only for that turn, but that 2k, sometimes that turn is all you need, and she's just awesome to me personally. Next up, I have 1 Trip, and then I have 1 Vivian. Trip's effect is when she hits a Vanguard, you can unflip a damage, so that's great in this deck. Any free counter blast that you get are always great. And then Vivian is the same as Nimue, but grade 2. So these ladies are really cool. They've been in the deck forever. Trip is I think one of my newer grade 2 cards, mainly because because I wasn't planning on using her, but then Big Chris actually convinced me to use her, and I listened to his advice, and it was really cool. I liked her. She's helped me out a lot, because usually you have that one free counterblast, and then when she hits, you get two, so you can use Ezel's effect, or maybe it helped me to get an ultimate break off, because I counterblasted way too much. So yeah, she's really cool. I would run her at more, but I don't have room. So I don't know if you guys have any suggestions. Like I said, feel free to suggest anything. I'm always up for advice. And then I have one Lop-Ear shooter. I kind of wanted to move the Lop-Ear shooter to 2, because usually the 1, I don't know why, Lop-Ear likes to get drawn. So either I draw him most of the time, but sometimes he goes into damage awkwardly, and it's like, oh man, I was gonna call Lop-Ear shooter with Garmore. So yeah, Lop-Ear shooter is awesome. I usually, for those who don't know his effect, when he superior calls from the deck, you just discard one card from the hand, and you can check the top 3 cards, and you call one among them and put the other 2 at the bottom. So it's a good card. If you get the Dendronay combo off, it's awesome, because you got a free superior, well, not free, you got a superior call and a free draw. But anything you get is awesome. I like that it's the top 3, because any more would be too broke, and any less would be not worth running. So yeah, Lop-Ear shooter, awesome card. Like I said, I would run him at 2, but just the deck space is so tight, because it just ended up being like that. I have no space to run anything anymore. And then next up, we have the main, which is Ezel. Ezel, I only have one. He's SP. I don't know if you guys can tell. SP. I mean, I had to get him SP. He's my favorite unit, like I mentioned. And then I have one SP Platinum. You have to run the cross ride. Like, it's awesome when you cross ride in this deck, because, like I said, the 1-ofs. It's just the greatest feeling in the world. For those who don't know, Ezel's effect is a limit break. You counterblast 2, and you superior call a top card. Ezel gains superior called unit's power. So you can tell he hits a lot, because let's say you even call like a 5k, you can he becomes 15, and his second effect is he gains 1,000 for each rear guard you have. So you hit for 20 unboosted, and let's say you just use that 5k as the boost, he hit for 25. So he's an awesome card. He hits really hard. Amazing behind a Tron. Usually it's just perfect guard or no guard, because like when I calculate the power, my opponent's like, yeah, I'm not blocking that. It's just way too much to guard. And then Platinum is an ultimate break, so you need 5 damage. His cost is really heavy in the deck, and sometimes you can't use, so it's you kind of have to have like some consideration with your counterblasting with certain units. A lot of units, they're more the scare tactic, like a lot of my opponents like to guard my Vivian or my Nimue, because they just don't want me to get the free superior call. And that helps me, because the more counterblast I have, the better. And you just wasted guard. You don't know how many times my opponent just dropped 10 or 15k just because they didn't want me to superior call, which is pretty silly, because you don't know what I'm gonna get. I might just get like a 4k booster or like a 5k, and it's not too bad. But like I said, you never know. It might actually hurt them a lot. But yeah, I like the 1-ofs. I don't know if you're gonna notice, I like to have a balance between Vanguard only effects and then rear guard boosters, because the rear guard support is really good in Vanguard. A lot of people don't realize that. If you have all the Vanguard only cards as your grade 3 lineup, it kind of hurts, because they're not as threatening in the rear guard, because it's just like, if I were to call Ezel, he doesn't have a rear guard effect, so he's just a 10k vanilla, and I hate that. I want to use the cards to the best of their potential, and just having that one, as soon as I get him in Vanguard Circle, if I would have any other Ezel would just be vanillas, and that'd be awful. Like, in my mind, that's pretty awful. So yeah, the cross ride is awesome. You get for those of you who don't know the terminology of Vanguard yet, cross ride is pretty much the evolution. So this is Ezel pretty much transformed. So that's his final form, and he gets a plus 2k boost, a permanent plus 2k boost when Ezel's in the soul. So he's an awesome card. I've won a lot of games with the ultimate break, even if he's not cross-rated, because it's just 5k to everything for the counter blast 3. Next up we have Garmor. Garmor's a really good card when he's ridden on the Vanguard circle. You counter blast you, and then you can superior call any Gold Paladin that's grade 2 or lower. So that helps out the deck, because you can call a Lapia Shooter, you can call a Dindernay, you can call a Booster, or maybe oh, I used to run them in lines, but I took them out just because the deck space is so tight. So you can call pretty much any unit that you need. You know, set up. Maybe sometimes I've even called Laudine to give me just a 2k boost, and it's just been awesome. He's very versatile. He's the only Gold Paladin that's not random, so he's awesome to run. Next up we have a Photon Archer Grifflet. I know a lot of you don't know this card, and I have yet to see someone run this besides me. His effect is that when he's on Vanguard, you counterblast 2, and then you can stand any rear guard. That's only a Vanguard, and then when he's in the rear guard, he can stand a grade 1 for the same cost. Usually I haven't used his effect yet as a rear guard. In his Vanguard, a lot of people block him for some reason, even though it's not too bad. Usually I would attack a rear guard, because by that point they usually have a damage trigger. But if they don't and they let it hit, you know, free attack on Vanguard, extra 5k. But usually I just like to take out problematic columns with him, so it's like attack Vanguard, and then get free stand, and then attack maybe a 20k column. It's always good. Like I mentioned, the one-ofs do kind of hurt the deck sometimes. Maybe like I mentioned, 15% of the time, because you don't always get it. But I do have them in a certain specific order. Ezel would be an S tier, and then these two guys would be my A tiers, and then he'd be my B tier. I don't know if you guys play fighting games, but S tier being the best, because Ezel is just such a well-rounded card. He hits really hard, and he just draws out so much shield. And then Garmor, because he hits hard, also because, sorry about that, my camera stopped recording because I was going on for so long I didn't even realize. But yeah, like I mentioned, Garmor hits hard at limit break 4 because he gets just a 5k boost. And then Platinum Ezel, I kind of have him as an A tier instead of an S tier, mainly because of the counterblast. He's way too heavy for the deck, because most of the effects are just 1 or 2, so the 3 kind of makes you sometimes limit yourself. But like I mentioned, sometimes your opponent doesn't want you to get those free effects like Vivian or Nimue, so it helps you out. And then I would have him as S tier if, you know, it would get the cross ride a lot more often than I do. But then I have Photon Archer just because I needed another Vanguard, and I didn't want to run another Garmor because I like him at 1. I like to have the one-ofs. My one Garmor is always awesome, and he's always been there for me. So yeah, I don't want to put another one. And Photon Archer is always that surprise factor because, like I mentioned, a lot of people, even though they don't think he's a good card, they don't want his effect to go off. So yeah, he's a good card. I recommend running him, trying him out. It's always good to try out different cards in your deck, see how you like them. Don't always just run whatever everyone else runs. Make your deck unique, make it you. And so yeah, last up, the last 3 cards in the deck are my rear guard support as grade 3s. Gigantech Destroyer! It's just a little joke you have to say it like that when you call him or you attack with him. So yeah, he gets a free 2k boost if you attack the Vanguard, which is always good. You know, free effects, why not? He attacks 11k's on his own. He attacks Majesty Lord on his own, because he's the only 12k I know that stays on the field. So he's a really good card behind, in front of Gareth, he hits for 20k. In front of 6k booster, because I have a lot of Disciples and a lot of Dindernays, he hits 18k, which is perfect against cross rides. And then next up, I have Holy Mage. A lot of people run more Gigantech instead of Holy Mage, but I do like Holy Mage, mainly because he doesn't lose his 2k when he doesn't attack, Vanguard, because he can hit anything for pretty much 20k or 18k. And that easily gets rid of problem columns, because unlike a lot of meta pro players, they don't attack rear guard columns for some reason. I don't know why. if you have a problematic column, get rid of it as soon as possible. It's always the best. He pretty much is a sniper against rearguard columns that I don't want to have. And then we have one Sagarmor, mainly because Sagarmor is awesome. I do use his effect, not as much though. I used to use it a lot more than I do, mainly because of Platina, like I mentioned, really heavy counterblast cost. So he hits through that 21k column attack, which is great against 11ks. And sometimes you just need to use his effect. Like, you just need it to end the game. And he's won me a lot of games just because he just hits so hard as a rearguard. Because anything that hits that much will draw a lot of shield, and late game is just so devastating. That's a problem column for my opponents. So yeah, the logic behind the deck is mainly to get out Ezel, and you're pretty much fine after that. The rest of the cards just support themselves. I mean, I think I've explained it fairly well, and I mean, I hope you guys like my deck choices. I personally tested the deck myself, and I've chosen a lot of the cards personally. Like I mentioned, like the one common Gareth and the one shiny Bowmains and the SPs. Those are all just preferences for me. And like the stands. So this is my deck. I've been testing it, and really, it's been all me pretty much. I haven't really gotten a lot of advice from it, except for Big Chris telling me to run Trip. But it took me a while to actually run her. But yeah, it's not that I don't want to take advice. It's just usually for my main decks, I usually like to test them, and I like playing with the main deck like that. Like my favorite deck, like with my spellcasters in Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't want to drift too much off this, but yeah, I just want to like test it me and just bond with the deck, and you know, just spend time with the deck. It make you know the clan, or pretty much, I wouldn't call it an archetype, but like, you know, the Ezel build. You know, I'm pretty good with the Ezel build. If you need help, let me know, and I'll let you know about some cards that I chose instead of others. Because like we all know, Vanguard, almost every card, well actually no, I want to say every single card has an actual purpose in any deck. I still haven't been able to run into a card that it's just like, no, it's too bad to run. Maybe like Dungaree right now. I think that's the only one I can think of. But if you can make Dungaree work, hey, you know, go for it. If he's your favorite card, go for it. But before my camera dies, I just want to say I had fun making the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. And like I said, if you have any suggestions for the deck, hey, I'm always up for suggestions, and make the deck better, because maybe you guys see something I didn't. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And this is JCcalonge signing out. Later.